Meow. Meow. Wow. Meow. 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 Hi guys, thanks for joining me on Crafted. And today, as you can see, I've got Skipper filling in for Rico. Rico's taking one of his vacation days. So we've got the man. And then right here is James, the Fish Room Fever. Oh, there he actually, I'm poking right at him.
Hi guys.
The floating head.
Let me click to the comments. There we go. And today, this craft is not going to be me painting fish. I'm actually going to be making a particular breeding cave. But before I do that, there was one quick question. Oh, and this episode is sponsored by Texas Fish Room. He's making sure that I'm not going shirtless. Thank you, Fish Room.
Thank you, Texas Fish Room.
Yes.
Can't thank you enough. Just kidding, but
and well, it's all right. But thank you guys. Oh, but let's do one quick question, because on James's channel on Fish Room Fever, someone asked, how do I breed African cichlids in my fish tank? And I'm not a master breeder. I got lucky when I bred my Africans because I didn't even mean to. I just wanted a cool looking tank. What I did was I bought a whole bunch of pots, and these were like ancient type pots, and I still have them out in the garage. I plan on using them again, but I just arranged them all over the place, like in the tank at different angles and on top of each other. I kind of made it look like a sunken ship. And then I added all these Africans, and they absolutely just loved it. They all like found homes, and before I knew it, they all had babies. And I didn't feed them anything special. I just fed them pellets. I never gave the fry anything special, but I was giving away African cichlids to everybody because I had so many. And the majority of them were like yellow labs and things like that. So, but they like all picked. There was all sizes, and most of them were half the size of this. This I bought today for my threadfin acaras because they'll enjoy hiding it in that. And I thought it'd be better than the terracotta pot that I have in there. But okay, well, I'm going to push it a little bit farther. So today, I've been planning for a long time to breed Petricola synodontis, or maybe it's Synodontis petricola. It's also known as the cuckoo fish. These guys are awesome little catfish. I kind of fell in love with them the first time I saw them. Do you have any, Skipper? Okay, James, have you ever had any?
I have not. They're a beautiful little fish, though.
They are.
The white and black is so striking. Their grayish bodies with their black dots are amazing. And I wish I would have known about these guys 20 years ago. Cichlids, like your African cichlids, will destroy just about everything, but they leave these guys alone. I think it's like in their brains that if I eat this fish, it's going to hurt my throat real bad. So they let these guys swim around the bottom with no problems. They don't attack them or anything. And the reason why they're called cuckoos is because they lay their eggs. Like if I had some cichlids in here and they had some eggs in here, they would swim in there and lay some eggs on top of those cichlid eggs. And then the cichlid's going to take care of those eggs.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how they do that. But I'm not going to be doing any cichlids in my tank. So this is a pretty cool thing. Today I went to Lowe's and I bought some PVC. This is a 4-inch like middle couple. Like you take two long pieces this is like your sewer line that would go in on each side. And I already drilled a 1.5-inch hole because I didn't want to drill it live because with my luck, you'd see me drill a hole in my hand. So I put it on my vise and, clamped it down real tight to drill this hole. but it's really rough. So what we're going to do is I've got a file, and I want to file that out real good because these little guys are going to be swimming in here, and I don't want anything sharp to snag.
Absolutely. Before we get too far into it,
Yeah.
from the participants list, let's say some hellos.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, and welcome to 3G ABC Aquatic Biotope Creations, Abigail Pickney, Atkins Nature Aquariums, Danikin Aquatics, Dragon Lair, Fish Streams, Freshwater Ichthyology, Jenna P 2005, Joe Coffee, Kelly Forming, Killer Kitty 08, Lonnie, aka Looney Tunes, Lunatic Fringe, Mountain Greenery, Mountaintop Puffer Keeper, Mystery Snail Guardians, Rustic Nashville, Skipper's Aquariums, Steel Slinger, Stephen P 2003 Aquatics, Texas Fish Room, The Zen Ginger, and everybody else not showing up on the active participants list is just hanging out. We appreciate you all being here. We had 50 people waiting when we started the stream, so thank you all so very much for hanging out and supporting my buddy Chattanooga Ed.
And
now back to you.
Thanks. And I know my Uncle Bruce and family is watching too, so thank you guys for watching.
Hi, Uncle Bruce and family.
Hello.
Yeah, guys, this is Skipper. My family that may not know you. You've got an amazing channel. Now you go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock?
Yes. The past 2 Sundays I couldn't, or last Sunday I couldn't because something came up, and this Sunday I won't because we'll be on vacation.
Oh, cool. Where are you going?
We're going to the beach out by
Nice.
Rehoboth. It's Delaware, and I'm going to do some, on the bay side, I'm going to do some blue crabbing and fishing probably for a day.
That's awesome.
Heck
Have
yeah.
you ever done that before?
I have blue crab before, yes.
Do you cook them afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I like watching. I've seen shows where they've caught them in like the professionals, how they put out a stick, or not a stick, a line.
Yeah.
And they put a chicken on each hook, and the crabs grab onto the chicken to eat the chicken. They won't let go. And I mean, they don't catch them like in their mouth or anything. They're just so ornery, they won't let go of the chicken.
Well, the thing is, whenever they do it that way, they got to be real quick. So, because whenever you're pulling that chicken neck up, they'll let go sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So what I have are I got 2 crab pots that I'll throw out.
Yeah. I figured that crab pots would be the way to go.
It is. It's so much easier and less stressful. Just drop that thing in, go do something, let it soak for a couple hours, and then, it's so much easier that way.
Now, do you have to have a special fishing license or anything for crab?
Yeah, so whenever I go there, I'll have to go to a local fish place, and I'll have to get a non-residence fishing license and a crabbing license. And the funny thing is with the crabbing license is it'll last you the whole year.
Oh, that's cool. And then with the out-of-state fishing license, do they give you an option for 3 days, a year?
3 days.
I know Missouri and Illinois, those are the 2 places. It was like, when I was in Illinois, I hardly ever fished in Illinois. I always fished in Missouri. And as soon as I moved to Missouri, then I kept fishing in Illinois. I don't know how that happened. But they both offered 3-day fishing deals. And it was like, I don't know why I keep buying 3 days. I have to just buy the full year one.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it makes more sense just to do the 3 days opposed to the whole year because I only go once a year.
Yeah.
So now, but if I did it more than once a year, I would just do that because the crabbing license, they last the whole year too.
That's awesome.
I was thinking about as soon as I think I'm a year away. I got to get all healed up and everything. But once I'm all healed up, I'm thinking about trying to, and I'm going to drag James with me if he knows it or not yet. But we're going to go to Alabama and Georgia, and we're going to go native collecting.
Yes.
That would be fun.
And because we can't do it here in Tennessee. Tennessee actually has a law that says fish aren't allowed to be taken out of our waters alive now. It's a new law because, they want to protect the darters. Right. So basically, the only way I think you can take live fish out of our waters alive is if you're saying you're using it for bait fish.
Yes, that's pretty much the same here in Pennsylvania. And there's a loophole in there, and I still got to go talk to the fishing game. But yeah, the state of Pennsylvania is pretty picky on the native stuff too.
So, sounds like I'm going to have to start up a couple of bait fish tanks around the house.
Yeah.
I actually have one.
Awesome.
As long as, we're going to catch fish that are going to be native to Georgia and Alabama, which is pretty much all native here too. But if we've got our license, we can pretty much just say, we'll write down what stream we caught it in. We'll be fine.
I'm sure. I mean, with a couple of YouTubers hanging around, we might be able to figure out how to get some video of it, and we'll have that visual proof. Hey, look, here's
we might have
river.
That might be a new thing that we'll have to start doing. Oh, Dragon Lair saying something. You're too far away, Dragon Lair. I just see Dragon Lair, and then Ed, you and James.
James.
Get me to show you where the good fish are.
Yes.
That's cool. Well, that would be awesome, Dragon Lair. So I've made this hole. All the rough stuff from that drill bit is gone. I can stick my finger in there. It's not going to get scratched up. This thing used to cost like $2.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Now it's like $7
Yep.
for the coupling, the middle one. The cap, I wanted to buy 6 of these caps today, but they were like $5 something a piece.
Ouch. That's harsh.
So I wanted to put one on top and one on bottom. But what we're going to do is we're just going to keep one on top. And then I'm going to show you these guys. They're really cool fish. They know when the full moon is out. They can feel the gravitational pull. And they're in your fish room or in your house. They can't see the full moon. It's not the light. You don't put a night light up with a they can just feel the gravitational pull of a full moon. And that's when they want to spawn. So every full moon, they want to spawn. So, but since I don't have any cichlids, they want to go in caves. So they'll go in here like whatever girls want to go in. The master breeder guy I talked to, he said he had 1 girl and 4 or 5 boys that go in there with her. Wow. And they start swimming in circles. And the girls drop their eggs and the boys do their molt in there. So they fertilize the eggs as they're in the cave. So, but we don't want these guys to eat their eggs afterwards. So I'm going to have this bowl like this underneath. Okay? Now, what's stopping these guys from just swimming straight down and eating the eggs is you pour marbles in this bowl. Now, I've seen the master breeder, Mitchell Broomer, he had a type of thing where he used a terracotta pot and cut a hole in it. But I didn't want to shatter a bunch of pots. And I want Lucas Brett does the PVC. And so that's why I went with Lucas's. And then you take marbles. So now I got a bunch of marbles.
Ed lost his marbles.
Yeah. And I put that over it like so. And the eggs are going to fall down and they're going to go into these marbles.
That's cool.
Yeah. Then afterwards, after the 2 days of the full moon, you take this out, you pull it out, you take this out, you leave the water in there, and the water's going to keep the eggs nice and going, and you put it in a fish tank that has nice oxygen flow in it. And I'll put them in a 20 long, bare bottom 20 long, and I'm going to let all these babies grow up together for about 4 to 6 months. The Synodontists are very slow growers. It takes them a couple years to get to full maturity, really. But in about 6 months, they should be big enough that the adults won't eat them. So I'm going to be doing like 2 tanks of them and rotating them. So the full moons are about once a month. I'll be skipping probably every other full moon.
Yeah.
Just
you
because
too much.
Yeah.
But now this other master breeder that I met a few years ago when I first got introduced into it, and I feel terrible because I don't remember his name.
Mhm.
He was swearing by, he set up a system where he also put egg crate
Yep.
in the bottom of his cave. So that way, during the day of the full moon, they don't go in there and eat their eggs. So now I'm going to cut this egg crate, and we're going to try to fit it. Oh, I almost knocked over my pop. We're going to fit that inside. Now, this is my own design. I'm just kind of winging it. So you guys get to watch me practice. And I'm going to use glue gun to do this.
Well, while you're getting set up, you did have a $2 super chat from Stephen Hubbard. Didn't say anything, just wanted to throw a couple of bucks at you there.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I'm going to put my marbles back in here so I don't spill them everywhere.
So to do a little recap, that coupler is 4 inches, right? Because
Yes.
somebody was asking, they got in right whenever you was starting, and that's an 1.5 inch hole.
1.5 inch hole. I drilled that out with my power drill. You know, I used a wood bit to do it. I had to go slow. You know, you don't go fast because it'll get stuck in the plastic. It heats up too fast and it'll get glued. So you go in slow and just go layer at a time.
If you also have a hole saw for your drill, like going through wood would also work on that too.
Yeah. I wish I had the ones that look like Christmas trees. You know, they're like those gold. But my biggest one goes up to 6/8 or something. I don't know, 7/8. It wasn't quite an inch.
Oh.
So this, I had to go with this, and I was hoping it would work because otherwise I was going to use my Dremel. But this worked perfect. So their bodies are about 4 inches long at full growth, but they're not. This is going to be perfect for their body to fit into.
Okay.
Because they're a longer, skinnier fish.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to have for you, was how big do they get? So I would actually be interested in getting some of them since they only get 4 inches, because there are Synodontists that get way bigger than that.
Yeah, I've got a Synodontis. Oh, he starts with a D. I can't think of his name. He's over a foot right now.
Wow.
But now these guys like to be in groups. They're kind of like Cory cats, where they always like to hang in piles. So you don't want a group smaller than 3, and they're going to be a lot happier in 6 or more. So
definitely a fish that's added to the bucket list.
Yeah, there's a fish store in Nashville, and it's pretty much the only fish store in Nashville that's not a box store. It's a giant place. It's called Aquatic Critter, and they have a huge African cichlid tank where the Africans are, they're big guys, fish, and they've got probably 18 of these little Synodontists swimming around, and they don't get eaten.
Huh.
It's awesome.
So they have the barbels on their fins too, like whenever they get threatened.
They do, and that's the tough thing, is moving them, because they will get stuck in netting too. That's why I was asking James about the. Whoops! Did I lose you guys?
No, you're good.
We got you.
I just lost my image somehow. Somehow I just popped up a thing that. How in the world did I do this? This is like a genetic thing on guppies that Chewy gave me like 2 years ago. How in the world? Okay, I'm going to click a button. Hopefully I don't lose you. Okay, you're there. I must have, I think I secured it to the bottom of my computer so I wouldn't ever lose it. And I must have just clicked it with my mouse when I moved my mouse.
Oops.
So now I've got to try to, I want to cut this, and then we're going to glue this in.
You have a Sharpie?
Is Sharpie okay for to go in here? It'd probably be all right for something as small as this.
I guess that is a permanent marker.
I don't know if that would make any difference or not. I'll just snip.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be pretty.
No, you just want it enough so that they stay out of it.
Yeah.
So I did a similar thing to what you're doing. When I first did my 55-gallon tank, I had zebra danias in there.
Nice. I've never bred them before.
Well, I wanted to come up with a way because they're an egg scatter. I did actually watch quite a few videos on how people did it, and they used the egg crate method with like small deli cups sitting on the bottom, and they just laid it over top, right?
Yep.
I was like, I don't want to dedicate a whole tank for that because at the time I just had the one tank. So what I came up with, and I've been wanting to do a video, and I keep forgetting because I bought everything for it, was you get a deli cup, not this big, the one that's the half-pound one. And what I did was I filled it halfway up with, I used aquarium stone, the big size, like the river rock look.
Uh-huh.
And the same aspect what you're doing, but I added yarn to attract them to it. So, they do their little dance in it. And what happened is the eggs fell down. And whenever I saw eggs, I just lifted the cup out of the community tank. And whenever they hatched, I put them in a hang on the back breeder. Or actually hang on the front.
And it worked?
Yeah, it worked.
That's awesome. I love zebra danias. They do not get nearly enough credit in the hobby, I think.
No, a lot of the danias don't. And they're actually, like a lot of people like to get neons. Well, in a way, they're kind of like a neon. They love being in a school, and they're fast-moving fish, and they don't get that big. At least the zebras, the leopards, danias, they don't get big unless you get the giant danias.
Okay, so I did my first cuts. Now, it might be kind of sharp, but I'm going to put enough of the hot glue gun around it to make sure there's nothing sharp that'll hurt them.
Yeah. Now, did you have to buy any lighting diffuser, any egg crate? I'm just curious what the price is looking like on that stuff because I haven't bought any in so long.
No, I've had mine forever. I just broke a little piece off that I don't use.
I'm sure it went up too because it's PVC pretty much too, right?
Yeah, it's another thing they can charge some more money on.
Well, PVC is petroleum made, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
It would make sense.
So I'm just nipping away.
See our good buddy Bob Kaler in the chat. Always good to see you, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
What's up, Bob? And that's another thing about them danias. Curl Kitty said about she got 12 of them because they were 99 cents.
Yeah.
They are cheap fish.
You can't beat that.
No.
You can't.
They must have been on sale because they went up leasing like Petco and stuff to $1.50 pretty much almost.
Well, if you're mad about the prices at Petco, blame Priscilla.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Just teasing. Let's see. Oh. Whoa.
Good thing you got your glasses on.
Yeah, that hit me in the side of the ear, and that was like, damn. I'm gonna suck cleaning this place up tomorrow.
Little fun fact on some danios. They actually use zebrafish embryos, and they get them high. They give them different drugs to see how they respond to drugs. There's a lab that does testing and synthesize drugs, and they try and figure out what formulas are going to hit the market next, so to speak. Yeah. And in synthesizing all their different formulas in this lab, they actually test them on zebrafish.
Wow.
And I thought that was interesting. And they can look and they see like they were showing them under the microscope, all these little zebrafish embryos like tweaking out like the half that had been given the drug versus the half on the other side that had not. And it was interesting. I'll put it that way. Don't give your zebrafish drugs at home, though.
No, it's bad for them.
Yeah.
Say no.
Just saying.
I just wanted to get into their hatchery where they were hatching all these zebrafish every day.
Oh my, that'd be crazy. Could you imagine?
Yeah, let me take a couple of specimen cups of those home, please.
Oh
They
man,
probably would. They probably let you.
you never know. Just imagine that lab, this setup they would have for that.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Hey James, are you going to be going to the gosh, what's it called? The Knoxville Aquarium Club show this weekend? Or not show, but meeting?
It's probably on Saturday, isn't it?
Yep.
No, I won't. I've got my mom will be over. We're going to work on a couple of projects here, building some stands and things. And there will be 6 children in the house that day versus 2. So
that's
yeah,
all. That's all the more reason to go because there's 6 kids.
it is, but that's all the less reason to come home when I have to hear about it from the missus.
I know.
Oh,
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's the only downfall about it.
I've got to get to these meetings eventually. I want to go to them, but it just never seems to time out right. I just found out earlier that, we're going to be having family over Saturday. So, like by earlier, I mean like 20 minutes before the stream. Like I'm trying to wake up and the missus is kind of updating me on having spoken to my mom. And I'm like, okay, I'm not awake yet, but okay.
Well,
that's right, Matt. Don't forget that.
I won't be on with Lefty tomorrow. My niece just got engaged last weekend, and tomorrow's the first time that her fiance is going to be here, and we're all going to take him out to dinner. So,
speaking of Ed's family, Donna in the chat says, we're watching Uncle Bruce, Aunt Donna, and Laura.
hi, Aunt Donna. Well, hi, everybody.
The whole thing.
Yeah. Darn it. I think I probably overcut this now. Doesn't that just figure?
I have to use a lot of extra glue.
But yeah, so I won't be on Lefty's show this Saturday or this Friday. Man, thank God I have these glasses on. I think I took 3 right in the eyes just now. This Friday I'll be gone, and then next Friday I'll be doing my surgery. So I won't be there for that one. So I asked Lefty, is there any way we could try to do it another night for like the month of June? So I think we're going to go at 5 o'clock on Tuesdays before the Rico show and before Susan's show.
Okay.
And so we'll talk about all sorts of goofy stuff. But I feel bad because, I mean, that's 3 weeks in a row I've done that to Lefty.
You're so mean, Ed.
I know.
Just bail on him.
It's already on the schedule, too.
For Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him a little earlier today. And he's on things.
Rico says about Matt, he's awesome. Rico's probably listening. Listen here, you little.
Come on, man. Get in there.
It's kind of like, looking through the chat. There's a lot of back and forth conversation going on that is pretty awesome, but I don't see anything directed at us except for some name calling.
Well,
sorry.
I did see something interesting whenever we was talking about the Danios.
Oh, I forgot to plug my heat gun in.
Oh, well, that's going to take 5 minutes to heat up. The Ocelot Danio, I never heard of those.
I've not heard of those.
Oh, another cool thing about these little I'm trying to do it and I just plugged it in. Another awesome thing about they can handle just about any pH. They can handle low pH, high pH. They love high pH because that's where they're from, like Tanganyika.
Zen Ginger wants to know what your prescription is, Edge. Says, I'm going to buy you some prescription protective eyewear. As many craps as you do with small, sharp objects close to your face.
Yeah.
Well, these are just reading glasses. I don't have any real glasses. It's just
ABC.
I can see wonderful from far away. I just can't see like within 3 feet.
ABC Aquatic Biotop Creation says, Fish Room Favorite Ed, I want to go collecting with you guys. I can help locate specific species. Always down for a collecting trip. Like that. That is like the top. Like that, and if you offer us some really good food, those are like the best ways to get our attention.
Yes. And ABC, part of the reason, one of the big reasons I went down there to Olano was to buy a native book for you from I can't think of what the name of the organization is, Native Fish of America, whatever. And the guy said that Georgia's the only place that their club doesn't have a book for. So that sucked. I didn't get to get ABC one of the books. He said even Connecticut has one. And he said he owns it and he doesn't know why. Because, why would you go to Connecticut to collect fish? There's probably nice fish in Connecticut. But I don't know.
There's got to be something.
You would think. Lefty's from Connecticut.
And it may be one of those that you go, Connecticut, and then they have this really amazing fish that you haven't even heard of that's like their local secret,
So now
who knows?
Yeah. Yes, Matt, he is.
ABC said I also have GoPros and underwater domes. That would be cool. Get some nice underwater footage.
Yeah, I was looking up prices of GoPros because I really want to get one for underwater footage. Man, those things are expensive.
Yes.
Well, never mind. As we say in the South, bless your heart, Ed. I don't think I want to encourage you to underwater film with your phone, because then I'd hear about how he lost his phone in the river.
Well, and I used to snorkel all the time in Missouri rivers. That was one of my things, man. I love looking at all the native fish. I would go on the Merrimack, and when other people are canoeing and tubbing, or not tubbing, going down in tubing, I would just go down and snorkel the whole thing, man. It was awesome.
Oh, stuff you probably found down there.
Yeah, well, every time there's a deep turn, like a bend in the river, I'd go way down there, and you'd always find some cool sunglasses and stuff. I got some great Oakleys down there.
Nice.
There was a guy that does it. He has a YouTube channel. I can't remember, but he does a lot of that treasure hunting, like at local swimming holes and stuff. It's crazy, the stuff that you find down there.
Yeah. I never found anything good other than glasses. I was always afraid I was going to run into a dead body, too.
Yeah. You never know.
But never did. Thank goodness. So now I'm like making some of these things a little...
You're making extenders.
Yeah, now I'm filling it in. So, Skipper, have you had any of your meetings with the Clash?
No, not really. Going to start up after I come off to vacation. We need to get together and plan some stuff for the YouTube area that we got.
I was wondering if you knew anything about the competitions, like when you have to have your...
Oh, so in July, they're going to open up the fish show competition.
Okay.
The aquascape competition, I believe, is the same month. And the give the kid a tank thing, you could do that whenever you get there. or you can email them ahead of time.
I'd
But
like to enter my guppies.
I can say this: all vendor spots are full. So
Oh no,
listen, it's going to be big. It's going to be a lot of vendor.
that's great.
Blue Rhino Games with a couple questions, asking when those bristlenose plecos will mature. Typically 4 to 6 months. You can't really go by size just because you can power feed those suckers and get them pretty big pretty quick. So I always like to go by time frame. It's usually safe to say by 6 months you should have seen them starting to get their whiskers, their bristles, and maturing out. But they can start to go from juvenile to maturing around 4 months. 6 months is kind of your safe bet. And the second part of that question was at Chattanooga Ed says you should hook me up with guppies sometime. And any tips for breeding guppies, and can you breed them with plecos?
Well, I think you can breed them with plecos. I don't breed plecos.
So I'll steal that part of your question. Yes, you can. And I have bred endlers and guppies in the same tank with plecos, just to kind of double or triple up. Do plants, plecos, and guppies in the same tank.
What's nice about whenever you're doing that is if you have a good father to the baby, the eggs that are in there, that they don't come out until they're pretty nice size, from what I've experienced with mine.
That's cool. Oh,
Do you have any super sexy secret tips on breeding guppies you want to share, Ed?
Yeah, it depends on how many he wants, or like tanks and stuff. But definitely get a plant that has a lot of small leafiness to it, like guppy grass. Of course, just go by the name, guppy grass. Kabomba's great. Anything that the fry can hide in, moss. The mosses are great. There's so many good plants. Water Sprite works wonderful. I've water sprite in a lot of my tanks, and the guppy fry will get like where a leaf comes up and cups the water. The fry will get in between the leaf and the top of the water, and no guppy can even see them because they're in that little puddle of water. It's pretty cool.
That's interesting.
I just want to say, and I feel like I should do a video on this. Don't underestimate most of your stem plants in terms of floating them. A lot of people don't, I guess, realize or know or take into consideration the fact that most of your stem plants, you can actually let them float in bunches. They will grow a whole bunch of roots out of the sides of the stem versus just a root system at the bottom when they're planted. And you can get some really awesome coverage areas in that. I was reminded of that. I think it was Hillbilly Aquatics that gave us all those plants at Aquaticon here in Knoxville. And I've just had them floating in tanks because I didn't have one I wanted to plant them. So when I moved that 75 yesterday and set it up, I think I ended up planting like 70 or 75 stems. He gave us a lot of stuff. Like I didn't realize what was in those or how many stems were in those bags. But it had all been floating, so it has all these side roots, and it's been really successful and done really well. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. So I just want to throw that out there.
You know, the craziest plant I'm floating right now, and it's gone crazy, is corkscrew Val.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. The corkscrews they're all little plants about this big. Like each one of them, you see the little curly things, and they're like a little bunch, like a little spider bunch. And then it shoots another thing. Now, when you plant them in the ground, they're going to get bigger. But they're just like, I've probably got 500 off this floating thing at the top. And I literally have to push it to the back of the tank to give the guppies space to eat.
That's interesting.
Huh. There's our good buddy Bob, Gathers Aquatics and Exotics with $5 super chat. Says, Ed, how's your Severum? Be cautious of bull sharks up the river.
Oh, what?
Yeah, he asked how your Severum was doing, and then he said to be cautious of bull sharks up the river when we go collecting, you know.
Oh, I got you.
I was
like, Alabama. Is that from the same guy?
Yeah, he was threatening to throw some bull sharks at you.
Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. The Severin is doing amazing. It likes I put both female thread fins in there, and he's just swimming around with them. I just having a happy old time. At first, everybody looked at him like, who the heck is this new guy in our tank? But it was pretty funny. The Bisher, who's never done this before, I dropped the food in the first night, and the Bisher lays on top of all the food and wouldn't let the new fish have any food. It was funny. I've never seen her do that in my life. And she just laid on it and looked straight up in the air at him.
That's so cute. I love Bishers. I love their personalities. Pegasus Arena did say to please tell Ed I'm off to bed and maybe we can all chat sometime. Good night, my friends.
Oh, sweet.
Rena, good night. Get some rest. Always good to have you. Sorry I got sidetracked on the questions and forgot to bring you up. I need to get you a link once I schedule next week's ahead of time so that I don't get carried away and forget, because I like to talk, as you all know.
We did. We forgot all about that. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting in like little guardrails all over the place at the bottom of this.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to get into the sides. And then I'm just going to cover it with a whole lot of glue so that way there's nothing sharp in there for them to get hurt on. Because that's the last thing I want. Even though I guess there's also a chance I could be causing places for eggs to hang up.
Yeah, it's a possibility. What do you take that?
Nope. Not. I just want to make sure they can't get down to the eggs.
I think next Thursday on my stream, I'm going to do kind of an open panel. We'll have like a time limit on it. Like you come up for 5 minutes or whatever, because I don't want to have a bunch of people up. That just doesn't work well for me.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Rena could come up, ABC saying I'd love to be on the stream sometime. I don't know. There are several other people that come up that we've talked to. So that might be a fun thing to do next week on the show, is bring people up 5-10 minutes or something like that and let them talk and show off what they got going on, ask any questions.
That'd be something different for you.
It would be. It's been a while since I've done panels on my show, and I do miss it. I miss doing some of the stuff we used to do.
We used to do it all the time back in the day.
I remember I used to be up on there.
Yeah. Good times.
It's when I first started and was learning how to stream from YouTube. A lot of people don't know that.
That's awesome.
It's amazing how time flies.
Crazy.
Well,
I just went and looked at the first video I posted, and it said like years. I'm like, holy cow, it doesn't feel that.
No.
Yesterday in somebody's stream, I don't remember who it was, but Mike. It was Grumpy Mike back in the day, but now it's not Mike. Now it's Mike's Aquatics and Critters, or what's Mike from Kansas's name? Official name? I would still want to call him Grumpy Mike. Well, he said that Fisher and Fever was the first channel he ever watched.
Oh, I love it. That always rings somewhere special in my heart. It makes me feel good.
I know. I told him thank you.
Also, my condolences. Scott, how'd you get to the bottom of the barrel right off? No, I'm just kidding. So Blue Rhino says, what ratio of guppies would you want for breeding?
Well,
males and females.
When I do it, okay, I love trios. But trios sometimes aren't realistic. I mean, people are always wanting me to sell them a trio of fish. And I mean, I don't even sell fish. But I'm not going to ever probably sell trios because I always have more males than females. So, I mean, it's ideal to have 2 females to 1 boy. But for me to sell them that way, all I would end up with is a lot of boys, you know. So I have to do 2 by 2, and I suggest 3 pair. If you can get a trio, that's wonderful, but otherwise 3 pair.
Yeah, and I've always, just like you, I've gone heavy on the females, as heavy as I can get on the females. If I can get 3 males and 10 females in there, that just means that the males have a little something to do, while some of the females are waiting to give birth to those babies.
Whoops. And
So there was another question from Joe Coffey. He was asking if you could use garden fencing for that grid or would it corrode? Well, metal, yes, it would if you did. But if you got, and he says there are some vinyl or plastic ones. Well, I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about.
on the next 2 that I make, I'm going to make 3 of these, and I'm going to make a video. I'm going to use what Skipper said, and maybe I'll use an eraser, dry eraser marker, and I'm going to make a perfect circle. So this is going to be my Frankenstein one that I made live on TV. But I see one hole over here. That looks maybe, I don't know if it's me.
No, I think you'll be fine.
See, I also don't want one to get stuck either.
No, you don't, because whenever you pull it out, you're like, oh, there's still one in there.
And I don't know about that particular cat, but it seems cats in general do have a tendency to try and wedge themselves in places. So,
yes, I've had corridors that have done that, and then they die because they can't swim backwards.
So one thing you could do back in terms of that metal grid, I think he's talking about not chicken wire, but I don't know what.
Oh, I see what he's talking about.
Rabbit fencing. Wait a minute. The square, like 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch grid, I'm assuming is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You could always spray paint it, give it a coat of Krylon, and let that dry, and that's gonna cover up that metal and give it something to protect it from the water. So there's always that thought. There are ways around most things.
Now that he said about the chicken wire, they do make a plastic chicken wire. I do remember it now because I bought some a while ago, and it didn't last long because it got real brittle in the sun. So I don't know how I would stick with the egg crate if it was me.
Yeah, there are a lot of different things you could do. I was actually sitting here thinking about, I've got that plastic crafting grid. I probably got 100 sheets of it, if not 200, from where Ed and I were doing our grandiose beta build off shenanigans. And I could always make the holes a little bit bigger in that and use that stuff.
Yeah, you could.
I've been thinking this whole time I needed to make 3 of these, so that way when I take the bowl out, I can let it. I just sit the bowl in there. I only need 1 of these and 3 of these.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make a nicer one. I'm going to make a nicer one anyway, because for a video. But yeah, and this, I got 8 chicken wings in this at Walmart.
Well, you got to eat some more chicken wings.
Were they raw and boiled, or were they actually cooked?
They were delicious. Oh my God, they're so good. At least at my Walmart, they're gigantic. They leave a whole bunch of the breast meat on there. They have like a big old hunk of extra meat on their drumsticks. It's amazing.
Are you going to glue that cap or no?
Well, I'm going to spray paint it with. I'm going to spray paint the whole thing black, so that the Krylon Fusion will just basically turn it into a glue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except I just started to take the sticker off, and it doesn't want to come off to save my life. Looks like I'm going to have to vinegar this up.
Get the grinder. Just drink.
Yeah.
Kidding.
The doctor is in the house.
Uh-oh. Dr. Anthony, I could have...
Awesome.
Yeah, Dr. Anthony, you're going to have to watch from the beginning, so that way you'll be able to breed fish by watching the Chattanooga Ed Crafted show and have the perfect breeding cave, or your your Cuckoo Synodontis, or your Petricola. I always want to say Pepsi Cola.
That's what I was just going to say. The good old Pepsi Colas.
But yeah,
It's just your language. It's all right. We call Pepsi Cola Synodonis.
yeah,
You may get some looks, but it may catch on.
yeah, I might. And who knows? I might sell more if I ever sell them. Who wants some Pepsi Colas?
Yeah.
As I drink my cherry Pepsi with it. Nice segue to drinking something. And Synodonis, man, they can handle a wide range of temperatures, pretty much 70 all the way up to 84. So they can handle it hot. They may not lay a lot of eggs when it's that hot. They want to lay eggs between 72 and 78. But they can handle it warm. They can handle a wide variety of pH. They eat just about everything. Mine prefer bug bites. The soldier larva or whatever, the black soldier fly. Is that what it's called? Bug bites?
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
They love that. And they're supposed to love bloodworms, but mine really don't touch the bloodworms. I'm going to sand this and see what happens.
Joe Coffee says, Chattanooga Ed, I bet Yo-Yo Loaches would love a smaller version of that cave. Paint it up nice, and it would be a great little condo.
Would they breed in it or just live in it?
I don't know. Good question. Good question.
May have to try to breed some yo-yos. Because I'm doing this for my Babbitt program, too. The local club in Knoxville is going to start a Babbitt. So
Nice.
I want to try to breed different fish. And maybe we'll be watching me do a lot of different crafts on how to breed the different fish in the next couple of years. Just a hint on the show of things to come.
Yeah. I think it's black soldier fly larvae.
Yeah. Black soldier fly larvae. That's it. My Synodonis go crazy over it, and I drop in bloodworms, and they just don't dig it. I don't know why. They just let them sit there and rot.
So, Blue Rhino Games with another question. We'll be back after this message. There we go. Blue Rhino Games with another question. Says, what center point fish or fishes would look good with breeding guppies and plecos, and would pea puffers work sliders look good? I am going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
If I may. There are other fish that you could do. First off, you're going to want to increase tank size if you're going to be trying to add centerpiece fish. But let me just give you something to think about. We didn't get a definitive. He asked if he could do it in a 10 to start with. We recommended like a 20 long or so. Especially if you're to do guppies, honestly, I would think about doing like a 20 long or a 29. That'll give you so much room for so many guppies and plecos and plants. But to specifically address your question, in my opinion, and I think I've got a couple guys that are probably going to back me on this, I would not add the other fish. I know you're looking for that like really pretty fish to add into your breeding tank.
Yeah.
But pretty much anything you add in there is going to negatively impact your numbers when trying to breed out those guppies and those plecos. There may be a couple of fish you can get away with, but I think that's where you see a lot of people get upset because they don't have great breeding success, is because they bring in another fish. I'm like, oh, I want to put a couple of angelfish in this 29-gallon with my guppies that I'm breeding. Those things are assassins. Angelfish. Don't let the name fool you. So just take that into consideration. That being said, if you really don't care if the those baby guppies are getting murked left and right, you could definitely add some stuff in there, but really it's going to depend upon what tank size you're deciding to go with. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I wish we knew what type of guppies he had. If they were big fan-tailed boys, they're going to get destroyed too by almost everything because they're so much slower, and they're going to go in front of everything and dance. Yeah. They're just not smart.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's all conceptual at this point, from my understanding. He doesn't have the guppies, and he only has the one super red male bristlenose at this point. So it's just kind of like playing out the game and talking to us in the group and conceptualizing everything at this point, which is awesome because it saves you from running into so many problems of, I did this, somebody help.
yeah,
So
for breeding purposes, all my tanks that I'm trying to breed guppies in, I just have guppies. The Synodontis are going to have 2 angels. And that's only because I'm giving their tank to the 2 big Bichers, because I've got 2 Bichers that have gotten way too big and they're too aggressive to live with anybody else. So they're going into a 75-gallon tank that I only have 2 angels in.
Mm.
Those angels will disappear with those Bichers in there. So I'm going to pull the angels out and I'm going to put them in the 40 breeder that the Bichers are in, and that's going to be my Synodontis breeding tank.
That'll work.
Yeah, because I mean the baby Synodontis aren't going to be ever in there. So I mean, if the Synodontis eat the angel's eggs, it's not a big deal because they're 2 lesbians. You know, I mean, the eggs are never getting fertilized. They have them once a month, each of them, but they just don't get fertilized. So they're just going to live out their best days.
Yeah.
And the Synodontis are amazing fish to watch. They look like sharks swimming on the bottom of your tank. And like they just kind of go in circles following each other. And I'm going to set up like a cave in there that's an open face cave. And they'll swim into the cave, do a circle in there, and come out. So you'll see them like one side will be the exit and one side will be the entrance. That's how it was at Lucas's. And I could just watch his Synodontis tank for hours. I absolutely loved it. So that's basically what I'm setting up, is a Lucas Brett's Synodontis tank.
That's cool.
oh, go ahead.
Blue Rhino says it's going to be a 40-gallon tall, possibly.
Yep.
And then, have you ever had shrimp in with your guppies? Because somebody had mentioned that.
That's fun.
I saw that. I do like doing that. You will get some minor predation on shrimplets. So if it were me and I was setting up a 40-gallon tall, setting up a larger size tank, something bigger than a 10. So 29, 40 tall, whatever, 40 wide, 40 breeder rather. I would do my plecos. I'd do my guppies. I would also, because this is a breeding tank, I'm assuming breeding for profit of some sort besides just, breeding for experience. This is probably one of those, hey, I could trade some stuff into the fish store type deals, or I'm selling, or I'm taking them to a club or whatever. Get some plants involved in that because you really want some plants in there anyways. Get you a really nice assortment of floating plants in there, or floaters. That's going to give you a bunch of different places for those fry to hide, because typically those guppy fry will go toward the surface. They'll go other places too, but a lot of times if they can find a hiding spot up toward the surface, the top of the water column, that's where they're going to go to. And then I would honestly get like some mosses, or create some grazing areas for the shrimp. If you can create, I know we talked about maybe doing a bare bottom, maybe do a small rubble pile in one of the corners, just so you do have a safe spot for shrimplets. I mean, you could have so much going on there in terms of a breeding tank, because you've got plants, you've got shrimp, you've got plecos, you've got guppies. I mean, that right there is one of those, hey, I use this tank to feed my fish room. I take it to the local fish store, I trade it in, I get my fish food. It helps cover part of my hobby and kind of pays for itself in a way. So you could have a quadruple breeding for profit, if you will, by doing that. That's a great thing. You can lose some shrimplets, but especially if you've got a smaller guppy or an endler, something that's got a really small mouth, they typically don't mess with much other than the newly hatched, if you will, shrimplets. A lot of times you can give them hiding places adequate enough to keep them safe until they grow a little bit. Just my 2 cents.
And I wonder where he's going to get his guppies, because that's another thing is you don't want to be breeding guppies from PetSmart and trying to sell them to your local fish store, because they're not going to want them. They want to have something different than the box stores, or otherwise, they won't ever be able to sell them. But it's hard if you're buying your males from your fish stores. They probably won't have females that are the same line. So you can actually buy your females at the box store and try to breed a mutt guppy and just keep weeding out the ugly boys, because the boys are going to give 80% of the color is going to come from the boy line. So whatever you put in there, so you're going to get close to the same fish, but your tail and body size is going to come a lot from the female. So that's the only thing about that, is you're not going to know for sure what you're getting until they grow up.
You had Simply Betta come in.
Oh, awesome.
Always good to see her.
Yes, she's awesome. And let's show her what we did today.
Absolutely.
We made a Synodontis cave for breeding Synodontis. So the eggs are going to fall down there. I'm going to have marbles in here. Every full moon cycle, you can take this out, pick this up, put it in a separate tank. Make sure you got good airflow in that tank, and raise up your babies in that tank. And then, I'm going to be working every other moon cycle. So that way, otherwise, I'm going to just have way too many Synodontis in there. And so we'll let them scatter their eggs in a normal cave or something on the opposite moons and just let them eat them. Sometimes you get a couple babies. Who was it? Was it Robert that had a couple? Oh, maybe it was Rockin' Fish. I think it may have been Rockin' Fish. Oh, no. It was Diego Pedzotix. He had baby Synodontis in his tank that bred just, with everybody in there and everything. The egg survived.
It happens.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
So Corey Doris do that to me too.
Oh, I had one tank that was so cluttered with plants. I weeded the plants out. I had so many Corys in there, I couldn't believe it. They must, every time I come to the front of the tank, they must run to the back, because I thought I only had 3 or 4.
That's
and
awesome.
These guys are juveniles. They're good size.
Yeah.
Crazy in a 20-gallon. So the idea is to I'm going to pull all the guppies out of that tank, and I'm going to turn that tank into my Coridora tank. So the Corys from the other tanks are all going to go in there, and they can just have a big old happy family in there. But that'll be awesome. Well, we're over an hour. Was there any thing that anybody else had? Any last questions?
A couple final things to catch. Joe Coffey was saying, I like using an airline tube ring to corral some dwarf water lettuce. The roots give a nice zone for shrimp and guppy fry to chill. You're absolutely right. That's one of the prettiest things I've found in terms of having the plants in the animals mesh well together is the water lettuce and things like that. They get a nice root system, floating plants, and then you see all the little shrimp just kind of hanging on, floating around in the sky, if you will. So that's great advice there. And then Blue Rhino Games says, I'll probably use the new shark that is coming out from TJ for that tank.
Oh.
So,
let's see.
what does the intake look like on that one? That's got a pre-filter sponge right on the intake, doesn't it? I mean, it's behind plastic, but the intake has got. You can see I haven't got hands on with that.
I think it's going to pull it through here, which has, and then comes out here. But I don't know if this is an older one, so I don't know what the new one looks like.
Right. I'm just looking at in terms of pulling through guppy fry and shrimplets.
Yeah.
It's a great filter. They do really well. But oftentimes, in my humble opinion and personal experience, sponges can be the best thing sometimes for those breeding tanks when you've got fry and shrimplet, especially shrimplets, because even with a pre-filter sponge, unless you do a very, very fine porosity, they can get sucked in through that pre-filter sponge a lot of the time.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Zest filter, the bubbler filter with the media balls in it.
Yep.
It has a sponge at the bottom. But I think shrimplets would get in there. I believe it's not as fine as what you would need.
It is a little bit more coarse of a sponge. Yeah. However, you take into account the fact that it's air-driven versus power motor-driven. So true. I don't know that it would have quite the same suction level to pull the shrimp through. I think they might have a fighting chance of not getting sucked in directly, whereas with that motor, they may not be able to fight it.
Oh, I need to turn this heat or glue gun off. It's really getting hot.
We'll burn a hole in your table.
That's a glass table, but yeah. Yeah, that's it. See, that's most of my tanks are all small fry tanks. So that's why I haven't even hooked this up yet. Maybe someday I will, but it's almost too small for the 75, for the Beischers that I'll be putting in there. So right now, this is nothing but a demonstration for whenever we need to talk about different types of filters.
And I don't want to discourage him from getting a shark. They're great. And you can always check out John at keepfishkeeping.com if you need one. # not sponsored. But I think it would also probably be pretty easy to just take a flat piece of filter pad that you can get mostly anywhere and create your own pre-filter for that, more than likely. So then it's just a matter of suction, but just something to keep in mind.
It's true.
I think we caught everything.
Good idea. Well, thank you, James, and thank you, Skipper. Oh, gosh, I'm on the big screen, and I'm all done making my project. So the only difference with this thing that we're going to be doing still is I didn't want to spray paint it while we're live. The marbles aren't in there because I took them out because I didn't want to spill them on the floor. But this is going to work perfect for these eggs. When they're going to swim in this hole at night. All of them are going to go crazy, just going in circles, molting and dropping their eggs. Molting, is that the right word? Is that what the boys
about do?
Milting. Yeah. Is it actually even milting?
I don't know what it is.
The boys do their business. The boys have to do the hard work in this project. And gets everything all fertilized. It drops down. They can't get to it because of the egg crate. And then this will be marbles. The eggs will fall on the marbles and in the sides of the marbles. They're going to hatch out. And then I've got babies. So that's this week's project. I hope it was entertaining. And maybe somebody learned something. I don't know. And hopefully I'll keep doing more fish in the Babbitt program and keep reading. So we'll do some more tricks and stuff for you guys. I've got a Nita Pisto one that I'll be doing here soon, maybe in the next month. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you, mods. You guys were amazing. Thank you, super chatters, for super chatting. Thank you, members, for being members. And we will catch you in the next one.